Hello guys. I'm just gonna get straight into it because I'm pretty short in time today. And yeah, that's about it. I want to get at least a few games in, even if it's just solo queue. I have about a maximum of 2 hours. So I won't be rushing anything, but I will try to just chill and have some fun. Hmm. Right, some support this game. It auto-leveled. Oh man, dude, I needed my jump for this. Oh man, that is so unfortunate. Classic. Why would it be any different?
Charmed. Good luck, darling.
Minions have spawned.
Being sneaky. Is my 3 an inst on normal cast? There's no way, right? It's not. It just didn't want to go off at the time. Oh my god, why would you go this way? It's gonna be one of those games. That's great. My Neath is not. Tough. Yeah, it might be tough because it seems like they know how to play the game. I should have just built normally instead of actually building support. At least I know I have a good solo laner in this case. The Jingwei is someone I know from Smite 1, so that should be good enough. Or should be enough. Get out, Neath, please. Oh, dude, he's not even hitting the wave.
Keep them guessing.
This dude, bro, is not hitting the wave with his abilities. Neath is not good. This is gonna be trouble. Big trouble.
Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
I need to rotate as fast as I possibly can and just act as a second jungler.
By the light, be purged. Slay an enemy.
Death. Retreat. Place a ward for teleport.
Really want to see if I can shut her down with an ult, but with Chuck here that might be tough.
All you think about is me.
Neath missed. Alright, I'll just go back. I wanted the desperate kill quick while I still had my ult up.
Enemies behind us. Enemy missing middle. Cancel.
I'm gonna grab some attack speed.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Okay.
I just hope Chuck leaves duo a bit as well, because I don't really want this to be a case where if I leave Neath, she just dies. That's gonna be super annoying.
Slain.
Damn, I do negative damage to Soul right now.
Save yourself. In the right jungle.
Your right tower is under attack.
Enemy ultimate down.
Dude, what is the slow? Dude, damn, dude, that slow is insane. Oh, and Neath died to Saul. Okay.
Hush. Savor the silence.
I'm not sure how. Oh, and Loki isn't gonna kill her either.
You're so sexy.
Dude, what's happening?
Hush. Savor the silence.
Man, I wish I was any other role right now than support. Why did I actually go support? I could have chosen jungle. I'll let Neith stall that for farm. That's still up.
Your left tower is under
Gank
attack.
right
Your right
lane.
tower is under attack.
Oh, it's not going well for Jingwei either. Damn, this is not good.
An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
Get out, Neith. Get out.
On my way.
I'm probably dead. Yeah, his ability is gonna be up before mine. There's so many random numbers calling me lately. It's so annoying.
Please.
Too many damn scam sellers.
Your left tower has been
Alright, I think I'm just gonna leave duo. I'm not getting anything done with Neith.
An ally has been slain.
I'll see if I can actually grab Sol here though.
Ally has
That'd be
been
kinda big.
slain.
Huh?
Your left tower
Where the hell did she
is
go?
under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
That's where she went. Oh.
Enemy ultimate down.
Well, the shot, I guess. Didn't have any abilities up for gold though. I might have brutalized actually. I maybe should have just done that. I had Sunder. Oh no, dude. I guess I need to wake up. What the fuck, man? Was my Sunder up for it?
Help.
Well, it's probably Jover anyway. Even if I had gotten gold, so. But still, I'm so disappointed in myself. Oh, okay. He instantly got my brutalize. That's fucking great. This game is a nightmare. This game is an actual nightmare.
Your right tower. An ally has been slain. Your middle tower. Shimmering radiance. An enemy has been slain.
Yeah, let's get out. I don't want to be in this game. Alright. I need to choose my role faster. I don't want to end up in this situation in a solo queue where I end up as support. That's terrible. Especially when my... I mean, I don't think it would have made any difference, to be fair. But still. Playing support when half your team is that big of a difference in skill level is kind of rough. I can't support them. I can't set anything up for them because they're not following up on anything. And they just generally don't know how to play into like better players too, so. And their dueling was clearly not bad. Were they super good? No, I wouldn't say so. Chuck was fairly easy for me to kill. Like if there's a soul, I would have killed Chuck probably a few times, but he knew how to be aggressive against Neith, and Neith didn't know how to deal with it. So that was a bit rough. Hey, like game, what's up, man? Let me know if you wanna queue up. I don't have a mass amount of time today, especially if we have scrims later, but I want to get a few games in and hopefully some wins. Oh, well, now I ended up in a game. There to work, no problem. No problem. I assume we still have scrims later, right? Because I haven't heard an update on it. Only that we were planning on it. Hmm. Let me verify. Okay. Damn, I don't know what to ban in solo queue these days. I don't. I probably want to ban Fenrir or Loki. I'll ban Fenrir.
Burn.
Oof. They got a rough comp so far. If they know how to play the game, that might be tough. We do have the Bacchus, though. Actually, it's kind of cold today, man. I know if I close my window, it's gonna get really hot. Because my PC just heats up the room so fast, but damn, it's chilly right now. I gotta get into like a good, heated game and just heat up my body instead. That's what I need. I despise their team comp. It's actually insane how annoying their team comp is. Like 3 gods in their team are often something I ban. It's like the prime team of what I hate. Very similar to what I'm finding right now, just Saw instead of Jing. Yeah, they definitely have an annoying comp. I don't know what I'm against, actually. Yeah, Jingwei is the same as the one I had before. Oh, and this, dude, the Neve is the same too. That should be easy enough. But I wonder who's gonna go solo though.
Scrumptious.
A lot of these items just have really bad starts, I think. Like, starting with one of these three, or like these two, I guess, is just kind of weird. Or like, 5 cooldown, 7 protection, 150 mana, like, all this is so weird. I don't like the starting items, I will say. The starters themselves are fine, but these rank 1s are so underwhelming to start with. I just feel like I'm left over with gold that I don't really want to spend. Like the only one that I guess the only ones that feel good are the ones that actually give power. Because the power I feel like is fine, but I don't know. It might just be me, not really fully used to this yet.
I never give up.
This man just blinked, but I guess we got her blink too. That's fine. He did both red and blue, I'm pretty sure.
An enemy has been slain.
Can I get him? I don't think so. Nope. Someone's calling me again. I don't know who really wants to get a hold of me, but it's annoying, I can tell you that. I'm so sad the knockup hit me where... Oh, this is not what I want to buy at all. This...
Right tower is under attack.
Damn it, dude, the knockup was good. I think actually I should have won that trade with my Sunder if the knockup didn't land right there.
An enemy has been slain.
You are irreplaceable.
Yeah, I think they're both fine. Like, getting essentially, what is it, like an extra auto or like an auto and a half with the HP, as well as the protection just overall. I think, against an ADC, I think the protection is better than the health.
Be careful, right?
Out of mana.
slain. Refreshing. Enemy ultimate down. You really need a drink. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Down.
It's time to turn this battle in our favor. Turn and fight.
Nice Athena ult. I still feel like I would end up winning the trade, or just gotten out with my jump, but
An ally has been slain.
That unfortunate.
scrap the cooldown instead of the mana. Screens I confirm. What time is it? I'm not sure. I feel like Sync isn't great at giving details. I never know when anything's happening. He just suddenly asks like an hour before, "Can you do this?" Like, oh shit, I guess I am. I'm doing this. Told me at 8? Okay. Is that 8, like... Is that also 8 for me, though?
You'll never keep up with me.
Be careful left. Ultimate is ready.
You really need a drink.
Attack! Attack!
An enemy has been slain.
Attack the Gold Fury.
Damn, Vegana loves laughing. That's crazy. I didn't know Vegana was such a big laugher. I guess he's always kind of been that, with a name like that.
Slain.
He's getting babysit by Loki, though. That's getting a bit annoying now. Okay, 8 should fit me just fine. 8 is good. That also gives me time to fix my other things that is kind of taking my time today. Dude, someone's calling me again.
Your right tower is under attack.
Like, after this game, I need to go check who keeps calling me. Because it might be important if it's not often.
Enemy missing right. An
He keeps laughing at me, man. I don't really laugh people, but if they laugh at me enough, I will laugh at them back.
Completed.
Anubis is here.
Goodbye.
Glad I backed. My own waves denying me here. Damn horn waves.
An enemy has been slain.
Woohoo!
Oh, they surrendered, okay. Alright. Give me a second, guys. I need to check who keeps calling me. Two of them was scam numbers. And then the third was my brother. How did I get two scam calls and a call from my brother in less than 10 minutes? Man, what the hell? That's so weird. Alright, do we have anyone who wants to do a queue or triple queue or whatever? Because I'm kind of getting tired of solo queuing already. The unevenness is still not particularly fun, even when you're on the receiving end of it. You just see, like, their duo lane and jungle, I think, just got completely destroyed by mine. It's a bit much. Hey, KM, good to see you. Found one. Alright, let's see. I can check my friends list. Accepting these while I see them as well. Not too many people playing at the time. And match moment, but I can move after. Alright, we can just wait for notebook. That works. While we do that, I want to go into a notebook. Do we have an idea of how, like an ish time? I crashed after going into practice? Dude, my game keeps finding new ways to crash. Can't even do practice mode anymore. It's really even? Okay. Like, how far into the game are you? Like, could it end at any moment, or is it still early? Because of my short time, I would just rather do like an arena while waiting or something instead of just sitting and waiting. Like, Lycane is gonna... You can't give me another Lycane moment. I will never forget it, Lycane. I will never forget it. You betrayed me. You left me hanging. What did I do? Don't you remember yesterday when you were like, I'm gonna be here in a few minutes, and you never showed up? What do you mean? What did you do? You're like, I can play in a few minutes. All right, I'm gonna wait for you then. You never showed up. I waited for like 15 minutes or 20 minutes before I decided to do something else. On stream too. I was debated. What am I trying to do here? Right, practice mode. It completely left my mind. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. Wait, did it? Oh, wait, why am I starting over here? I was about to say, did that change the mode? But no, it's just because I started over here. My bad. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. I imagine you probably forgot, but it's the same. The thing is, a day before that, Sync did the same to me, but just in Discord. He was like, "Are you on?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can play soon if you want." And he never answered me again. I'm pretty sure he still hasn't answered me. You guys are leaving me hanging all the time. Yeah, he still hasn't answered me. You guys will ask a question or tell me something, and you will just never just leave me hanging, man. You guys are bullies. Alright, I want to try a build here. But main thing is I need to figure out the build for it. Like, specifics, I guess. Because I know kind of like core items. I want attack speed. Age comes to all. Oh yeah, the rough age of 25. Right. So starter, obviously death toll right now. Because anything else on Bologna feels kind of weird. You could do Bluestone, I guess. If you want more wave clear. I actually think Bluestone is not that bad. But I feel like going into late game, I feel like death toll just... Death toll is good early and late. Not to mention the sustain on AoE autos and stuff is just always great. So... I'll keep doing that. The first item though is probably where I'm most confused. Because solo is so weird. It's not invited, we can Turkey with Snotty. Alright. If that's alright with your notebook, we can always do an early triple here.
An ally has left the game.
Alright, you guys get me in. My first item in solo usually... It's the thing I think I need to practice the most. Because some people will destroy you if you don't have a protection item early. By the time you finish that first item, base damage will be so high in some people's abilities that you're just gonna get shreked. But starting with protection on some gods feels so bad. Because they just kind of need the damage. I feel like Bologna is one of them. Bologna is definitely a bit strange in that aspect. That being said, I think actually Bologna is not as bad as people think she is at the moment. Oddly enough. I still think she's one of the worst, don't get me wrong. She's definitely still one of the worst solos. But she's not trash. I think she's only bad because everything else is broken. Like, she's not beating Fenrir with how broken he is. She's not really beating Bacchus with how broken he is. And she kind of just generally has a bad matchup against some. Like, I think Mordred is unironically really good into Bologna because he's got the knock up on the dash, which you can basically always have up. It's a 10-second cooldown. Like, that shit ain't leaving. So you can very easily counter her too. That being said, I think if you don't level the 2 and you level the 1 or the 3 instead against Mordred, I think you actually kind of win the matchup. Because Mordred, a lot of the time, while he is ability based for the most part, he does want to hit you with auto attacks, and Bologna shouldn't let you do that. Hey, it's not good to see you, man. And Benji as well. Always a pleasure. What am I banning here? Who's our mid? Our mid is not someone I know. Probably ban Neath. No, I don't feel like playing Fenrir. I'm getting the Fenrir. What are they gonna balance tonight on my 2 patch notes? Oh yeah, that's tonight. What time is that? Dude, I would love to stream that, but I will be scrimming at the time. Damn it. I would love to actually stream that. Okay, what am I picking here? It's 9, yeah, damn it. That's probably gonna be the middle of scrims. Sad. Yeah, I'll do Bologna. I'm actually feeling Bologna right now. The curse is back, meaning people eat Chrome all day. Is this Avalanche? Let me check. It's just kind of, it is not. It is Bring Me the Horizon. Oh, name of song? No, it's not. It was a, it's called Throne. Sure, they don't nerf Jingwei. Dude, they have to nerf like. Okay, this is the thing, because it could go either way. Either they nerf everyone, or they buff everyone who's not good. Because I kind of lean it against both, right? Because I do like, in a sense, how ADCs feel late game. Like I think you probably should nerf crit overall. I think crit needs a nerf, not necessarily the gods themselves. I feel like buffing everything would be a good idea, because some of them just feel underwhelming. I think some things, it's not even so much the gods themselves. We can agree Bacchus needs a nerf. Bacchus needs a nerf. Absolutely. Jingwei probably needs some kind of change to her too, because I think the way it works right now is just broken. That's not okay. Some items need nerfs, because Loki is kind of only broken, I feel like, because of how items work. Kind of same thing with Neith. Who else? Fire Giant and Gold obviously need some fucking major buffs here. They need to be more tanky and they need to have more health. I think they do just fine damage. Actually, I think the damage they do is solid. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. There's a lot of shit that could happen. Yeah, fixing the bugs is honestly the main thing I'm looking forward to. My settings still resetting is driving me crazy. I'm actually just going insane. I can feel it slowly. I'm losing brain cells every time it happens. Dude, this is kind of a decent... Actually, speaking of what I said before, 5% extra attack spin on Bologna could be kind of cheeky for an early start with this. But what am I against? Because I could be against Ymir in an unfortunate situation here. I'll try it.
A soldier should be prepared.
Yeah, we can get the notebook and as well as Ed in. Yeah, we can do 5 if you guys want to do that. Dude, it's auto leveling again. No, stop, please. I'm begging you. Okay, rest is normal. Good. Stop settings, please. I am begging you.
Minions have spawned.
Oh, you were Jingwei. Yeah, I just need the spike. Then you win. Ah, no, I missed my auto. Tragic, he stopped for the damn thing. I'm gonna miss the creep now, aren't I? I didn't. Nice. Clean. Neath? I mean, meeting an ADC. Who is the Neath? Oh, it's Icreed, okay.
That was a good fight.
Creep damage.
Retreat!
Hit me.
It also bothers me how good of a solo Neath kind of is. She's honestly the best at just sitting back and not being... Like, you can't zone her either very well. If you have a lot of poke, I think you should be good into her, but she's really frustrating to deal with as a low mobility frontline. Do we know if they fixed Chalice? Does anyone know? Yeah, she's named Marty, pretty much, yeah. She's really annoying to deal with. The reason why I don't spam the Neath solo as much as someone like Saul is simply just because of her tower pushing isn't as good. You just kill towers so fast with Saul. I missed. I'm gonna try leveling my 3 in this one. I don't think it's good. I honestly think it's one of the weaker things to level.
Okay.
He clears is so good. It's partly because minions are so weak, though.
Hit me. Drop it.
Your middle tower is under attack. I've joined the jungle club. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Like, Neath beating Bellona in lane? Who would have thought? I'm taking too much poke, though. I am trying to fight her right now when I shouldn't. I shouldn't be fighting her until I finish my first item. Oh.
An enemy has been slain.
Ooh. Is that a kill? It is not. Unfortunate.
I will be right back. I'm building stacks.
My jungle pack is still in 2 charges of Chalice.
Down.
Alright. Thank you for confirming. I need him to fix Chalice, because I do want to build it, but having one wasted just feels bad. I should maybe just build it to build a habit. Right, I'm still kind of debating on what I want to build on Bellona.
Your left tower.
I should probably do Void Shield here, but I don't know. I think this is great here, especially with the team comp they have.
Enemy missing. Your right tower.
2 ADCs. I think Leviathan Hyde kind of goes hard here.
Be careful, middle. An enemy has been slain. Attack middle lane. Ultimate is Okay. Falling back. An enemy has been slain.
Middle leg.
Okay. On my way. Enemy ultimate down.
That's enough.
I should level my 2.
I will be right back.
It is one of those cases where I tried it. I'm not feeling like it works. Leveling the 3 just doesn't feel as good as it did in Smite 1. I also think I should have done it in this matchup because Neith has a heal. She can just sustain up the poke. At least the 2 will do so much damage that if it hits, it's gonna be worth it. Not to mention it's better for wave clear than 3. Actually, honestly, it does no damage too. The damage on it sucks.
Has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Ultimate down. Now. Attack middle lane. Be careful left.
It's just impossible to clear against or like push against Neith.
Enemy ultimate down. Enemies incoming. Retreat left lane. Be right back. I will. An ally has been slain.
Drop it.
I'll gang.
Drop it.
Slain an enemy.
Damn. That was a very satisfying bonk.
You have slain an enemy.
Ymir is here too? Just a big bonk. Neith is gonna be back soon. I'm getting out. This is the tech, guys. They will never see it coming. The tech's here. Well, almost here. How much gold do I need for the tech? I need 1,000 gold. Or 500 more.
Retreat, middle lane. Retreat, middle lane.
Okay.
Damn. Sol does not like our areas at all.
Enemy missing. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Snotty got soloed? I don't believe it, man. Unbelievable. Washed? Hashtag washed?
I will walk. Your middle tower is under attack.
I still think the healing on Bellona's 3 is kind of crazy. Like, I need more attack speed, and this thing is gonna heal me.
Enemy missing. Your left tower is under attack.
Yeah, they really both wanted to get bonked. They grouped up very nicely for it.
Okay. Enemy missing.
Drop it. Enemy missing, right.
Is this overkill?
An enemy has been slain.
Yeah, it would be. If the target dies before you even go there, yes, then it's overkill.
An enemy has been slain.
How many times did I have to call you, then? I called it literally right before he showed up.
Silence.
Silence.
Thank you.
Cancel that. Enemies in the right lane.
Your middle tower is under attack. Attack middle lane.
Drop it.
Has been slain.
You're welcome. No.
An enemy.
I'll yoink this.
Attack fire giant.
Your right tower is under attack. Attack fire giant.
No,
Yes.
no.
Enemies in left lane. I will be right back. Enemies in right lane. Destroyed the fire. Attack the gold fury. Slay an enemy.
Come on and hit me.
An enemy has been slain.
That was a good fight.
Yeah, I probably could have TP'd for gold as well. The opportunity arose for a nice fire, though.
An enemy has been slain. Help! Enemies in right lane. An enemy has been slain. Ah! An ally has been slain.
Come on and hit me!
Destroy the left enemy tower. Take this jungle buff. Beware the shifting sands. Your team has destroyed the gold fury.
And most of the healing seems pretty weak as well in other characters. That depends on what you mean by that. In terms of the ability itself, sure. Sol definitely heals very little with her one, I would say in general. But the lifesteal is not okay. Lifesteal is very good right now. Lifesteal absolutely heals too much.
Be right back. Let's do this.
Right. What next? Go to shifters as well. Who's actually pressing surrender? It's gotta be Sol, right?
Retreat! Your right tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. Enemy missed. Enemies in middle lane.
On my way. Group up.
Yes. Group up. Attack. Right lane.
Your left tower is under attack. Enemies incoming.
Attack.
An enemy
Right lane. Hit me.
beware the shifting sands.
Middle lane.
The funny thing about Bellona's 3 is that it also works on structures. Because it's just based on hits. Like, no matter what you hit, you will heal off those hits.
Save yourself.
Yes.
Drop it.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
That was a good fight.
Still got him, I guess. Became awkward because people died in the back and then they all just went back on me instead. I don't do a whole lot of damage. So finishing this is nice because now I get a bit more strength, but I actually feel like I do negative damage right now. Let me grab Akins. Because I feel like as a level 18 Bologna, I should be dealing way more damage to the level 15 Neath that I was hitting at the time. But I digress. Yeah, solo crit lifesteal is unfair for... Yes, crit is definitely also too powerful. I think there needs less god balance and more item and, I guess, map balance. Because the same thing with Fire Giant and Gold. Fire Giant and Gold are so squishy for no reason. And I will remind everyone every time, they were already nerfed. They used to be even more squishy in the early alphas. Which is crazy.
On my way. Gank! Hit me!
That's neat beats. I'll take it.
No problem.
That is neat beats for my teammates who might be listening. That means an Ares ult is going to be very useful on Neath.
Hit me! Be careful middle.
Has been slain.
I do just fine.
Be careful. Okay.
It's just weaves everywhere. How many? What's the max weave? Is it 4 or 3 or 4?
Attack left lane.
It's kind of tough to siege when they're all 5 there. Never mind. We just need on her to bait, I guess. Like, late game Sol or late game Bellona for team fighting, I actually think is somewhat valuable just because of how powerful ADCs with crit are right now. Bellona being able to disable what the one thing that they do, just for a few seconds, I think is very valuable. Only problem, like, it's the same thing with Smite 1, right? Bellona isn't terrible, but she's very situationally very good. You can age as well CC'd. Oh no. That's not good. I didn't actually know that. Alright, you guys can invite Notebook as well as... I guess you can just give me a leader as well. I can just invite them. Notebook, do I still not have you on my friend list? What the fuck? Add friend. Why haven't we done this yet? That makes things so much easier. You're practically the one I've been playing with the most. Alright. What are the roles left? I'm not sure what KS main role is, but like jungle should still be up as well as mid. Yeah, okay, so the duo lane is taken and the solo is taken, so mid and jungle, yeah. I don't really want to risk a good Bacchus going through. I want it myself, but I'm not banning it. Or I am banning it. Hmm. Yeah, Neath is still OP as hell in mid, if you want to just get something easy. I don't know what to pick. Because we can end up leaving a lot of shit up to open to them. I'll do Mordred. Oh, my bad. My bad. I didn't look. I started panicking when I heard the pinging. It's alright. There's 3 OP ADCs open. We have Sol, Neath, and Jing all open. And I think Snotty can use he can get some practice against Jingwei. I think it's great. Did one of you send me a Steam friend invite? Who sent me a Steam friend invite? Blue did? Wait, the Sol from my last game did? Who the fuck is Blue? Maybe he wants to type to you? You can just join my chat. Yeah, she was being loud with the VGS system.
Mordred.
I don't know. I kind of took the what between me and Sol had was banter, but maybe he was actually being very serious, and how he hates me with a passion. I can't take VGS spammers serious. Also, the matchup I was talking about last time, Mordred versus Bellona. It's interesting. It's a very interesting matchup, because I don't think it necessarily goes straight to Mordred. I think Bellona can absolutely just not level her 2 and bait out the dash from Mordred, leaving him somewhat open.
Yes.
But realistically, this is only what I can think of in my head, because I have a lack of experience against good players in solo, I feel like, in Smite 2. So a lot of the matchups I just don't really know very well.
You are irreplaceable.
The one thing I know the most is that Fenrir is very good. Fenrir is very, very hard to deal with if it's a good Fenrir in solo, because he heals so much, and I don't like it. But besides from that, I haven't met a Bologna, I think, not really. I've met a little bit of Odin. Odin is just kind of... I feel like Odin does not have a bad matchup right now. And he's got pretty decent wave clear too.
Enemy missing. Enemies in the right lane.
What's this? Is that a support? It looks like to be a jungle.
Minions have spawned.
Slither victoriously.
All these cheap viewers. Okay, I don't want to buy them, man. Oh, you got her early. Oh no. He blinked too. I should have just focused the creeps first, because I would have hit level 2 and he didn't. That was a mistake on my end. Got him anyway, but that was not good. Ended up using all my pots for this.
Scent of blood.
Oh, I can't dash on top of this. Dude, that's the most awkward fucking thing. Because of the interact button is the same thing as my dash, it will interact instead of dashing when I'm on top of it. I actually just got fucked. I don't know if Susano's still around. I'm chilling. There he is. He blinked. I did not expect that. Man, that actually kind of screwed me over that I couldn't use my dash. I was trying to use the dash on Susano to be aggressive. And you guys saw what happened. The big flaw right there, Smite 2 and Hyris. That's something I would like them to see fixed very soon, because that's super awkward.
An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Attack middle lane.
Scent of blood.
Damn it.
Attack middle lane.
Greetings.
My blades hunger.
Truly impressive.
An enemy.
Impressed.
Not sure if he has sound on or not, but he did not know that was coming.
Scent of blood. Glorious power is mine for the taking.
You should be dead to dots, right?
Keep up the
No?
relentless assault.
Damn it, how did you not die to my dot? That's unfortunate.
I will be your shield.
Damn it! No, I missed again. Ah, man. Tragic. My threes are not on point today.
Some other time.
Welcome to my battlegrounds.
An enemy has been slain.
My blades hunger. Run high, death follows close.
An enemy has been slain.
Yes. Keep up the relentless assault.
My blades hunger.
Destroyed a left enemy tower.
I'll attack.
You are irreplaceable.
Keep up the relentless assault. Stop it.
You are irreplaceable. Enjoy yourself.
Scent of
An
blood.
enemy has been slain.
Bye. Return to base.
Nice.
I'll attack your flank. Be careful. I will be your shield.
I missed. Should have been a kill if I hit my 4, but
An enemy
my ult.
has been slain.
I've never called my ult my 4 before. What the fuck?
Enjoy Enjoy yourself.
What?
Destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Shall kneel before.
Right enemy tower.
Be careful left.
No.
Well, isn't that unfortunate?
At least he blinked, right? At least he blinked.
Destroyed a left enemy tower.
No. Alright. I was investing in bait. My investment was not worth. Actually, maybe I did get a phoenix.
Storm strikes.
I shall protect you.
An enemy has been slain.
Kind of surprised they haven't surrendered yet. They've had a full minute to do so. We're 15k ahead in 11 minutes.
Scent of blood.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Slain an enemy.
Okay.
Enjoy yourself.
No, I thought he was dead. That sucks. Sad. I just hope they surrender. I can feel that I can't take this game serious anymore. It's so over.
Be right back.
It is Jober. I am half the deaths on my team. Oh, Mordred.
Death follows close.
Stop feeding? I can't. It's in my nature.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy phoenix.
That's why I'm chubby.
Some other time.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Scent of blood.
Feeding others not the same as eating? No, it's just, you know, it's the same, just two sides of the same coin, right? Coin. Eating or be eaten, right? Can't you feed yourself? Is that technically what we do when we eat?
Death follows
Ally has been slain. An enemy has been
Yeah, corn has at least 3 sides.
An ally has been slain.
My whole team's feeding now.
Has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
scent of blood.
Attack the Titan. Attack the Titan. Ultimate is ready.
I'll attack the fire giant.
I'll defend the Titan. Some other time.
I don't want to. Why are we doing this? This is a terrible idea. I'm running. Alright, let's actually end this game.
Scent of blood.
Run! I missed. Come back. Alright, fine. I'm leaving.
Your right tower is under attack.
Our left is getting pushed.
All I have ever known.
He interrupted me. End this nightmare.
Has been slain.
Just accidentally kicked my dog in the face. Well, that's what happens when you lay literally between my feet, alright? Sometimes I gotta stretch. He doesn't usually care though. He's kinda used to it. He always does it. He also lays on my chair. Like my actual like chair here. So when I roll, he just freaks the fuck out. It's like sliding around on my floor. He always like just lays in dangerous places where he's very likely to get hurt. Feet sniffer. I'm pretty sure he smells worse things for fun. Just a thought on that. So yeah, the thing is, it's not a dash. Well, it is a dash bug, but it always happens in specific places. It's always on the lines of phoenixes, because it has a line that goes up a bit, like the model, right? So when it dashes, it goes up. It's the same thing with Athena. I'm pretty sure it's any dash. So Athena can do it too. It just doesn't go as far as Susano, because I guess it's not as fast of a dash. This means Smite has physics. Hanzuki, this game? It looks so much fun, man. I want to do it. I wonder if you can do it on Bellona. Bellona's dash is pretty fast, but it's very short. Do you guys want anything? Or should I just pick my own? Giving people the Heimdall treatment ult? That's pretty funny. Does it actually work? Can you just knock them up there? Do they just keep going then? Or do they come back down? I'll do Odin. It's very funny to watch. I can imagine. Also, speaking of potential changes, well, I assume this will change eventually, but what do you guys think of the picks and bans screen? Do you hate not seeing your own god? and like your allied gods. Obviously, once the picks and bans right here in the front goes away, you see your own god, but you never see your allies. What do you guys think about that? I would like to see my allies, personally. I do think this picks and bans is very cool, though. Like, but it doesn't have to be the whole screen, you know. It could just be to the side a bit, maybe like top left and right, where all these fucking arrows are, whatever they are. Oh, never mind. It's the picks and bans rotation. Never mind. But yeah, they could just be up there, like smaller. I like to see the models again. Yeah, me too. That'd be nice. Am I against an ADC again? It's gonna be Neath. Looks like it's gonna be Neath. The Origin way, I guess. Kind of not fun. I hope it's Neath though, if it's any of those. All my rank games Neath banned today. Understandable. When I ban, I tend to go for Fenrir right now, because he's just kind of one that ruins my lane. But at the moment, if I'm against good players, I might also ban the Neath. Because good Neath is so hard to deal with. My game crashed. Lost the 50-50. Hey, Seagull, good to see you, man. Man, I hope this gets fixed next patch. I am tired of getting crashed as I enter a game. I'm getting on pretty well. I'm having a good time. A bit of a short stream today. I won't be able to play much longer, but I'm having a good time. I've been a bit busy today, so I'm kind of tired, as well as I need some things to... I need to do some stuff before scrims later, so I will be ending the stream in 1 or 2 games, depending on the length.
Yep, yep.
I'll just do this start again.
You rock.
Oh, it's my roster. Yeah, we don't have a... I still think they're... I'm not even sure if I'm actually a regular yet, but it's Sync's team. We're just trying to figure out, like, we're tryouting a lot, from what I understand. Lycane and then Sync. Auto leveling. But I believe at the moment I'm the best choice they have in terms of solos. So I'm feel like I'm being treated as a main roster, but I might not be. So for all I know, I'm not actually on anything. I do believe we'll be playing in the on Saturday though. At least that's what I'm told. So, but communication hasn't been top tier. There's a lot of unknowns at the moment. There's just a lot of balls in the air, I guess. Was there other options than you? I think they have a few. I kind of forgot. They mentioned a few, but for me, I believe it was just someone I didn't know very well. Because like most of the top solos right now are just kind of taken. And in EU, I feel like there's not like there's a lot of really good solos in EU, but they're all taken as of right now. Whoops. I believe at least. Maybe Klino, I think, might still be left. I think that might have been one of them. I could not have missed that anymore, but I just did.
Be careful left.
I need to sit back a bit. I'm taking way too much poke here. Level 3, I should be good. So I can one-shot the wave with the Bird Bomb, but right now I need to chill a bit. I lost my 3 pots already for being unaware. Okay, let's find a home. Alright. Yeah, then there's not really much left. The main problem isn't so much solo, I guess. It's other roles. Like most of the good known, like I guess mids and stuff like that is just taken. At least we've been trying out with a lot of people that I've never heard of. I'll put it that way. Also doesn't help that the people have different Steam names. So sometimes I'm playing with someone I might know, I just don't know they're just my 2 name. That also happened a few times.
An ally has been slain.
Come here. I missed.
Your middle tower is under attack. Enemy missing.
Do we actually want to fight this, Jingwei? Oh, that was a good... Damn. Alright, whoops. I'm underestimating this guy. Dude, is it just me, or is Jingwei's one really hard to see sometimes? I could not fucking tell what that thing was. It also doesn't help that like the grass over there is like what? Like orange? So I can barely see the like the red effect. I could not tell where her one was. Damn. Soloed. Well, now I need a revenge kill. Yeah, Jing is silly, but I feel like usually I don't struggle with seeing where it was. But yeah, I entered the orange area over there, and I could not fucking see anything. That's his ult. I'll take it.
Enemy ultimate down!
Enemy ultimate down. Okay.
Yeah, as long as I have the pressure, I think I'll be able to keep pressure up as well. It's only gonna get easier when I finish Mystical. How much I Mystical is that any good? I think it's pretty nice to start with, yeah. Especially on someone like Odin, where you don't really build damage, so you need something else to make up for that, the lack of power you have. I think Mystical Mail does a pretty good job of it. I do it on Bacchus too. It is great, I think, on the ones you're planning on building basically full tank. You're gonna ult, or is it still down? Alright. Almost got him too with the ult. Because as you can see right here, obviously I'm against Jingwei, a carry, but I still think it does pretty nice damage. Yeah, and I agree with you, Seagull. I do think not having strength 1 feels really awkward sometimes. I do think he does really well with Sunder though, which I think makes up for it, because you can easily clear the buff. How are you level 8? What do you mean?
Only the beginning.
And I think it feels even better once you actually finish Breastplate after. But that's just because of the cooldown, you know. At least this is the build I've enjoyed the most on Odin. I think you could probably do something else too. Like, I don't doubt that you can start with this, right? Void Shield is always nice, and I think that's going to help Odin out pretty well too. I haven't tried it though, but if there was a different choice where I wanted to start with Axe, I would go Void Shield. Is it enough? It is not. But now I'm tanky enough to tank it for a bit. Then we're good. In bot games, go transbuff for big shield. Yeah, I've seen some people do that as well. Looks pretty fun. I haven't tried any fun builds on Odin yet, because I haven't played him that much. But I'm starting to enjoy him a lot more. And I need to change the pace from the constant Mordred, Fenrir, Chuck, honestly, I barely played Chuck. I thought I was gonna play Chuck so much. I'm just not. I think he feels clunky. I don't enjoy him. I won't deny how powerful he can be, but goddamn, dude, I'm not enjoying Chuck. It's probably a lower tier solo with Hades right now. It's weird, right? Because the first week people were like, yeah, Chuck and Hades are undisputedly the best solos. But after playing for a little while, people just learned that there's actual some broken tech out there. Like Fenrir. But, because, like, who, I don't even know anymore. Like, who would you say are the best solo? Because I would probably say Fenrir. Potentially even Odin. Yeah, you definitely don't want to do Sandra on Chuck. I agree. And Chuck late game is definitely still one of the better ones, but you can say the same thing for Hades. It's just whether you get through the mid. Mid and early is kind of the big problem with them. Chuck has atrociously bad clear early, which is my problem. Not wave clear, but his buff clear is terrible. You're actually just coming late to lane every time. Ben, Odin, Ymir. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Ymir makes sense. That fucker has the crazy pressure. It's got the wave. No, I missed. I'll stick around. I do feel a little bad for Jingwei here. Their jungler has not been here once. And I'm kind of playing like an idiot. I'm playing very aggressive for no reason. Speaking of, I have been visited. No. That was close. Thank you, Odin Shields. Alright, let me get some power here with Wood Shield. Clean. It was, yeah, it was not bad, but I could have played it a bit better. I panicked a bit. I don't think her ult's up yet, compared to mine. It is, okay. Dude, what's her ult cooldown, man? I would not have thought that to be up yet. But I guess my ult doesn't have that low of a cooldown just yet. Actually, it doesn't have a low cooldown at all.
An enemy has been slain.
Too bad.
I do need to practice more Fenrir though. I just don't enjoy Fenrir that much. So I definitely lack some experience on Fenrir. just happened? Or she dashed into the wall, was that it? No, he still survived! Fucking Titan is blocking my vision. I couldn't tell where he was completely with Mystical Mail. There's too much shit going on.
An enemy has been slain.
Damn it! That might be bad. Nope. Man, my shield just came up. I should have just backed. I have 5k gold. Let's get shifters, probably shroom as well. Won't be able to play it first open bracket. Just letting you know. Okay. Yeah, what time is it again? Like, it's gotta be somewhere early, right? Because
Your right tower is under attack.
I imagine we have to play quite a lot. 15. Okay, it's gonna go late. Shit. Yeah, just pray Sing wakes up. Well, from what I understood, Sing was awake, he just forgot what time it was. Right? But yes, don't do that again. Do we have a full squad for Saturday then? Guess I still don't know, guys. What's happening? Do we have a set 5-man squad? Oh, okay. Bye, Loki.
An enemy has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed.
Yeah, I probably overall need more intelligence in this build. Just for the shield.
Think about
I ran into that. Yeah, I imagine Tricon's con's probably pretty good. Yeah, it's maybe something I should get right after Breastplate. Because I do think Mystical Mill Breastplate is the best start you can do in Odin, personally, from what I've tried. Alright, I can do one last. That will be the final one, no matter what, though. See people rush it as well. Interesting. I was just vibing that game, yeah. Yeah, 5-mans do be like that sometimes. I could try rushing it too. See how I like it. The reason why I would wait getting it is because it scales off of levels, right? So I would want a bit more levels to really get more use out of it, but I just think Mystical Mail is very, very good to start with. Like 350 health, as well as 40 protections, on top of the passive of Mystical Mail just feels very powerful. Let's spend Beneath, I guess. Get a Fenrir game in. Ever since I realized full inbuilds can go beyond 100% pen. How do you get 100% pen though? Wouldn't you have to just focus your whole build off of it, off that though? I feel like going for 100% pen isn't good. Yeah, I think underneath it makes sense going for like a mix of strength and int in terms of its like, on ADC specifically, it has so much use. I can see it. I can definitely see it. I feel like you don't need it though. I feel like the poly build underneath is just generally better because it also have way more use into. Dude, that is once again a Radiant Hecate. How? How, man? Yeah, so I just think it has more use against everything rather than just the tanks. Probably just so OP on someone like Neath. Wrong. I think this matchup I have to be a bit careful. Because Chuck will definitely outpoke my current healing. I might have to chill a bit until I hit 5. Depending on how he plays it.
I'll attack, no problem.
Yeah, Option Titans is 50% pen outright. That is pretty crazy, yeah. It's a lot of percentage pen.
Enemy missing.
Minions have spawned.
It's a Sunder Chuck. I thought I got 2 creeps. What the hell?
Need a bite of something.
What the oh, it didn't die? Where was... Dude, where was he hiding? Where did the 1 creep go? What the fuck, man? Yeah, I need to chill the fuck back now. What the hell? The 1 creep that just disappeared kind of ruined that one.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Alright, Chuck might have given up lane by focusing on the gold chest there, though. He's richer than me, but that's it.
Is now mine.
He backed, so I'm just gonna do the same here.
Enemy missing.
Alright, Benji, have a nice one, man. It's gonna be my last game as well, either way, so... Otherwise I'm gonna... probably lag time. I got some chores I need to do before scrims. Not to mention walk the dog and make food and all that stuff. See if I can just hide long enough here and get level 5. I don't know if you can hear me, because fucking Fenrir just starts howling. Can you hear that through the bush? Because yeah, like if he's wondering if I'm there or not, and his Fenrir starts howling, then it's gonna give it away, right?
An ally has been slain.
Oh, good. Susano spotted. At least I got the buff, I guess, but I'm gonna lose my blue for that. Saying to me, some of you by having land fear. I don't have land fear. I have public traveling fear. Like, it's not. I'm not exactly keeping it a secret on my stream either, but I do have autism. Social spaces is not my strong suit. When I'm at a land, it's not a problem. It's the traveling that's the problem. And I feel like it's kind of only gotten worse as time has gone on. Like, as an adult, I definitely feel like I struggle with it more than I used to. And the people that used to help me with it aren't around anymore. Yeah, I was very challenged at the time of the launch tournament, yeah. I understand people being surprised about it. Like, a part of me works better under pressure. So that's also a part of it. Because I was very fucking stressed at the time. Fenrir is just OP as hell. He's super good. And it only gets amplified by the fact that he's got a steroid that not only gives him power, attack speed, as well as lifesteal. Like, well, it's mainly the fact that it gives lifesteal. Let's be real here. You pop the 2, you brutalize, you heal to full. Like, it's just really silly. Silly, like, Fenrir is as silly as the most OP gods in the game right now. He has his own silly, stupid stuff.
Get right, jungle.
It's also worth noting that Chuck is going Transcendence. It wouldn't be as easy if he had a tank item first. This is one of the examples that I've been talking about with Sigil earlier. Like, not starting with power feels bad. It really does. But also starting with protection in a matchup like this feels like it's necessary. Because otherwise you just die. I think against Fenrir you almost need to start with protection. I think it depends on the god. Like, if you're Odin, I think if you can interrupt the Brutalize one and still be tanky, I think you win the matchup. If you're a tank Chuck, like, you don't have to go for, like, full power, but you can go for like a Void Shield. If you go Void Shield first into Fenrir, as someone like an Odin or... Like, Chuck is rough because you can't interrupt Brutalize. That's always how it's been with every single matchup as anything, right, against Fenrir. But... especially on someone like Chuck, I think it's tough. But, like, let's say Odin. I think Odin kind of smacks the matchup. The problem is... or the reason why he's not winning the matchup fully is because of how much Fenrir heals off the wave. And Odin doesn't have sustain, so... What? How did I not get that? Trolled. How the lifesteal works in abilities? What are the percentage? Just anything works at any point. It's just if you have 20% lifesteal, that works on your autos as well as your abilities. That's pretty much it. And so that also means the more the more creeps or targets you hit, the more you're gonna heal because you're hitting more targets. So when Fenrir groups up the wave and brutalizes the whole wave when he has lifesteal, you're healing a very, very large amount. No. Alright. I didn't want to ult, but he caught my brutalize. That is also a Hecate with Aegis, and not beats. Or Combat Blink, so when he gets jumped by me, he's gonna get bitten. Hard. Should have blinked the other way. Okay, it's the TP. I just realized this is a pretty even game so far. Hope we actually get this.
An ally has been slain.
It's the Void Shield. Yeah, he's gonna go into protection now.
Enemy ultimate down. Help.
On the topic of Fenrir, or not going protection first, on some gods I think it actually works sometimes better not going for power first. Especially, I'm mainly thinking about Odin here. I feel like Odin, like power on Odin is not really what you want anyway. He's one-shotting the wave anyway when he hits level 2 or 3. You don't need power. And I think for the most part, Odin is just one of those gods that actually work better when he's full tank. Because he can still bait so much if he's got a lot of cooldown, and he just pops the shield all the time. His kit is just so built for being tanky. Can a full damage Odin work? Probably. Probably.
Death's cradle. Harvest the soul.
Killing spree.
Yield.
Ultimate is ready. Has been slain.
Yeah, it makes it more complex with double scaling, but it also gives more options. Like, you see it on Chuck too, right? You could essentially build the same thing. You could just build double stacking and have it be really useful. You can also just build full tank and truly be like a big ult bot and be useful in terms of baiting as well as being a teamfight monster. I still think that's where he excels. Being tanky, always throwing out abilities, like the constant throwing out abilities, like stunning, and now that he's got he's got a steroid on his 3 now. You can use that to like buff your ADC or mid, I guess, depending on what you have. Your carries. So I think that's very good. Oh, damn. It's a Ymir. I'm just gonna...
Has been slain.
He's gonna freeze me.
That's too bad.
He's gonna freeze me if I jump in and my ult is down. Let's just pull him all the way back.
An ally has been slain.
No. Stop. No, dude. Oh, no. Ah, that's my stupid. That's so bad by me. Bad decision.
Your middle tower. Enemy spotted.
Is Serrated good? I feel like I never see anyone build it. I think I want to do this though. I want to do Reaper. Zeus ADC is coming online. That's such a funny build. Devils and straight into hastened. I'm not wasting any time. The bug that insta reveals me is tilting me. I understand, yeah. It really sucks on, like, it happens on Morrigan too. I don't know why the stealthers have that problem. But it sucks. It's really annoying.
Be careful, right?
Yeah, why even care that they're hitting you? Cause I'm just Fenrir, you know? I'm just Fenrir, and I press 3, and then I heal, and I do damage. So that's nice. Does the last auto cleave? I don't, not on Odin, no, I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Are in my grasp.
Nice sound. I love that sound so much.
Enemies have returned to base. Ally has been slain.
On my way.
On my way. I'm attacking again. Slain an enemy.
Ow. Whoops. Wrong target.
Your team has destroyed an ally has been slain. Slain an enemy.
Damn it!
You have been slain.
I kind of
An enemy has
played
been
that bad.
slain.
I'll do shifters. Jump scared by Chuck. He is scary, that man. He moves like a jaguar. Move that shit out, Odin. I don't know what to go for my last item. Do I have any? I don't actually have any magical protection. Maybe I should get some of that. No wonder I got shit on before. I'll get an Onis. I could get the silence as well. That could be interesting to try out. Or Genji's. More cooldown? Yeah, I'll do Onis. Get the mitigation. I'll be close to people a lot, I think, so.
On my way.
On my way. An enemy has been slain. Your team has destroyed
Nice.
the Gold Fury.
Dude. Oh my god. I thought she had something to follow up. I should have just run away instead. Fuck me. What a terrible fight. I just wanted to hit just anything, because I thought she was gonna die to it.
Defend the fire giant.
Sad. I should have also just ulted Chuck, I think, instead of letting him get away. I just really didn't want to waste something where I thought Chuck was gonna be dead 100%.
Defend the fire giant. On my way. No problem.
Damn it. But yeah, we're starting to lose the
Middle tower's under attack.
the part of the game where Fenrir is very, very powerful. He's good late game without a doubt,
Attack fire.
but that's mostly because of the utilization of his ultimate, not as much because of his healing late game, I would say. Yeah, I'm not fast enough to catch up. My ult as well with this build has such a long cooldown.
Unstable mutation!
Yo, can we just kill her? Can we not stay on fire, Mr. Team? Kill Hecate, not fire.
An ally has been slain. You have slain an enemy. Shut down. An ally has been slain.
We gotta focus on killing them and not the objectives. Especially if we don't have Sunder and they do. So my eyes are straining. Yeah, Sunder deal very little damage. Pretty much, that's because the carriers now have hit their stride and now they will 3-shot me.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower.
I should have gone left. I was distracted.
Your right tower has been destroyed.
Okay. Never mind. And these things, I'll keep saying it too. I think the
Tower is under attack.
the Minotaurs are a horrible addition to the map itself.
Attack the Gold Fury.
Right lane.
Lightning bolt. Under attack. Let the hammer
They're just way too overpowered by themselves. They have an insane amount of health. They're practically siege weapons. It's insane.
On my way.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Gank.
An ally has been slain. Slain an enemy. Killing spree. An ally has been slain. Retreat! Retreat! An ally has been slain.
Like, Chug is gonna be more useful than me now, for the simple reason Chug's ultimate is insanely good late game. And the build that he's running is the like double stacking build, which is at this point obviously fully completed. So he's damn it close. So his build is just complete now. What he's running around doing now is why you would pick Chug in the first place. Also, we get a group team. We cannot get caught alone. Yeah.
Retreat. This is mine.
I don't even want to ult the front line because I doubt we can even kill them. This tower has no HP. We don't want it to defend this.
Welcome to my
Has been slain.
I feel like we're focusing the wrong targets here. Loki should always be in the backliners, never on one of the tanks. Yeah, we need Loki on either Hecate or Jingwei at all times. No matter, doesn't matter any other targets. Maybe Susano if he's alone, but Susano's a bit harder to deal with, I would say, for Loki. It's kind of a good like natural counter in some sense. We do have Sun Drop for this. Good fight. Yeah, I feel we kind of just won this because we had fire. Fire Giant buff is so broken, man. Alright, GG's. Yeah, the quick pick we got on Susano was good. And I'm not honestly sure what Chuck was doing that fight. He was just kind of letting us slap him. And Chuck did what we kind of did as well as a mistake, and that was just hitting the front line. But alright, GG's guys. Thank you so much for joining. I'm just gonna head off straight away. I took it slightly longer than I had planned, so... Oh. Actually not that far away from Demigod at this point. Getting up there. Alright, GG's guys. Big clappers. Thank you for joining. And I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. I might just do a short stream tomorrow, but I'm pretty busy tomorrow as well, but I do want to stream and play some Smite too. So I think I'm doing a short stream again tomorrow. So, bye!